Okay, what's up? The rain paused the video for me, and then I noticed my backpack was just getting rocked and getting soaked, and I was worried about my sketchbook, so I decided to send it through the rain back to the car. And then on my way back, the rain stopped, but it looks like the weather, it could continue. The sky could open up again for the next couple hours, but for now the sun is back, and I'm on my way back to the car. And I was talking about, okay, so yeah, like the way that solar systems and galaxies sort of cluster to each other and spin within themselves like atoms, you know, like the particles in molecules or whatever, atoms spinning around each other and clustering together, binding together into molecules, making up matter. And then, so that's at the microscopic scale. And then, those create from that matter. Sometimes it assembles together in structures, cellular structures, single cellular organisms, microbes, microorganisms. And then you've got, very small life forms on this planet that subsist off of the microbes and, the food chain, right? The microbes provide fuel for bugs that provide fuel for larger animals and, plants as well. And then eventually you get the forms of life that exist at the scale that we as humans can perceive them visually and sensorily. Generally, we can witness them with no instruments beyond just our own bodily perception. And then at the larger scale, you've got celestial bodies clustering together according to, maybe it's just as simple as Newtonian gravity, but that kind of makes no sense when you get into the scale of, space between, the disparity between the mass of the objects in question, the observable mass, according to what we are able to observe. Our model does acknowledge dark matter, but so maybe that plays into, maybe it is just Newtonian gravity modified for the fact that dark matter mass is helping things bind together at the cosmic scale. But you've got this thing where the sort of intergalactic scale of the universe resembles the atomic scale. It orbits each other and spins around itself in the same way, whether you go big or you go small. So if we look at the fact that at this scale that we exist at, for whatever reason, the atomic, molecular, cellular structure of everything going on creates these structures that are human bodies that at some point after their birth, not when you're a newborn infant, but eventually, for whatever reason, the electrical signals getting sent around that nervous system, eventually at a certain point, a consciousness comes online that's like in this driver's seat. I don't know. Again, I'm curious, like, for instance, for someone who's blind in terms of like full retinal detachment, no visual input to their nervous system whatsoever, do you experience your consciousness as behind your eyes the way that I do? in that, if that's the case for you, if anyone like that is watching, please let me know. But for whatever reason, at this scale that we exist at, there's these consciousnesses that come online within these bodies that experience themselves as unity, individual identities, individual unified organisms. Even though, like, if I really think about it, my liver, right, feels like something that's out there, right? My central nervous system is over here, I guess. And everything in my peripheral nervous system, my feet feel like they're at the other end of my body for some reason, communicating to me. My hands feel like they're out there at the ends of my arms, communicating to me. Not so much that they are consciously, not that they are necessary, for whatever reason, they don't feel like part of the witness of the stream of consciousness that I'm having, that I identify as me. They feel like something that's plugged into it, sending signals to it and communicating with it. And yet, as far as I'm aware, my liver itself is not experiencing an individual form of consciousness, or maybe it is, because I'm receiving, maybe it's a non-sapient, non-sentient individual consciousness that my liver experiences. But because it's sending me signals, so it has awareness of whatever it has awareness of that it's able to communicate about, as is every part of my body. So when you think about all that, and then you think about the fact that at the larger scale, our celestial bodies are spinning around each other in a way that's quite comparable to how the atoms are spinning around. If you expand outward in scale beyond that which we can possibly conceive of, there must be some larger phenomenon occurring, much like the electrical signals of our nervous systems, that is, there must be some super electrical current happening at a scale beyond supergalactic clusters that is something like a super consciousness or a super intelligence. Maybe, I don't know, like, because it's grappling with, it's trying to understand something with the human mind that is so far beyond what is comprehensible to the human mind. It makes sense to my human mind that the whole structure of everything must repeat, right? Turtles all the way down, turtles all the way up. That somehow like the ending of Men in Black, where the whole universe turns out to be in the marble, except maybe everything that we are able to observe and know isn't even enough to constitute a marble, because it's just like an atom to some super giant, like, microbes, or some super giant particles of dirt off of which microbes and super bugs are subsisting or something. So yeah, I mean, what is it? Who knows? But I guess I kind of look at it like I'm a manifestation of this reality, an organ of it, the same way my liver is an organ of me. There's a destiny, I suppose. Like, some people believe in nothing, some people believe in God or Krishna or any number of names for just the universe, that the universe is, I guess, yeah, it's just to me, it's not objective, this idea that it's not subjective. It's not a matter of opinion or belief or faith. This question of, am I part of some greater universal everything in a theological way? You know, this idea that God is part of all of us. Krishna, you know, we are all servitors of the divine Almighty. You know, you don't have to look at it through the religious perspective. You can just see it as like, you know, particles of this giant cosmic particle soup that temporarily decided to merge together and create a nervous system in which you get to exist and experience all this from an individual perspective, a perspective of an individual identity for some reason. And I guess insofar as this channel started out as, I don't know, maybe me trying to help people who are struggling mentally or emotionally or something find a way out of that darkness, out of those woods. I guess I would say, you know, one of the reasons for the gap in videos is that I was having trouble, like, trying to come up with anything that I felt was credible in terms of, like, telling somebody else how to handle their problems. And so that's why, now that I'm back, I'm looking at it more as just an open journal. Because I don't think that there's one true path, or that what works for me necessarily will work for you. I think there's no one true path, there's only your path. That's what I'm getting back to in terms of an organ of the universe, right? You were put here for whatever reason. You were put here to engage in whatever human disciplines you are inclined to, which are going to be different from the ones that I'm inclined to. And what works for you in terms of finding your bliss and your peace and enjoying your time here that you've been given is not going to be exactly the same. But what I can tell you that I think is pretty credible is I think you probably have some level of an inner compass of your own that tells you whether what you're doing is working for you or not. I know I have one, and that learning to listen to it and march to the beat of my own drummer and follow my path rather than, you know, whatever social conditioning or, you know, whatever I might have been convinced is how life is supposed to be, or what choices you're supposed to make, or whatever. Yeah, I do think that in terms of, like, what is the, you know, I don't feel qualified to speculate on the point of all this, even though I guess I'm about to a little bit. It sure seems like that part of the reason that we manifest in these egos, in these individual identities, is to have to reckon with this pressure to accomplish and to achieve, wherein the failure to accomplish or achieve can feel so brutal, and the achievement and the accomplishment can win you such praise. You know, you can really fuel your ego and become attached to your ego based off of what you achieve and all that. And so that sort of cycle, or you know, the temptation to identify with the ego and experience either bliss or, well, not necessarily bliss, but, you know, experience temporary highs or you know, pain based on perception of failure, that's there. But then paradoxically, in order to accomplish that stuff, you have to experience, typically, you have to engage in a human discipline and cultivate your skills within that discipline and create some level of whatever that discipline is about creating, whether it's an athletic performance, or whether it's an artwork, or a business, or rearing a child, or whatever. Like there's all these disciplines that you engage in, and when you are actually in the act of engaging with them, you experience flow state and you experience ego death. And that is true transcendental bliss of not being in your ego, being in a form of consciousness where you forget your ego temporarily. And so I think that the lesson in all that is maybe about the transcendental bliss of doing what you're meant to do, doing the right thing, and learning to get out of that cycle that's a trap of identifying with your ego and trying to accomplish things in order to validate that ego. Okay. I think that's all that I got for today. Be well, and hope this helped in some way for somebody. Peace.